All right, we are recording. Welcome to Heaven on Earth. I am Kate. This is Sweetness right here, our mini donkey. Always loving to be on camera. And this is the herd behind us out grazing. We're in the field in Longmont, Colorado from the Mother Ranch. So glad you guys are all joining now or watching the replay. Today is going to be a topic on healthy masculine energy. And that is in particular because it is Father's Day. And it's been something I've been thinking about this week, having had some healing energies from the horses, especially the male horses that are here, and also having a male client and working with him on certain business building pieces and life coaching, and realizing that this is a topic that's important for us all, especially as women, to actually dive into, and for the men watching later, something to remember as well. So Sweetness is, if you see this moving at all, it is because you have the donkey right here moving around. And then the herd is back here. So we'll see how they join and participate. So let's begin with the meditation. We're going to do our best to kind of integrate healthy energies of masculine and feminine, since we have both inside of us. And then we'll do a wisdom share and then journaling. And we'll see if we have some time to end with the goats. There's some new goats here. So let's just take a moment and kind of close our eyes and center in ourselves. So Sweetness is pointing to the ground. So really feel the full length of your feet on the ground. Dropping into the lower half of your body, feeling your seat. And feeling much more rooted, more connected to the earth. The best way for us to feel heaven on earth is to actually root into the earth. So picturing some tree trunks dropping down from your sit bones, down from your feet. And just allowing your inner being to become more still, more quiet, more silent. And maybe energetically, you're going to put a hand on a donkey if it was right next to you. Maybe it's a goat or a dog or a cat, but just one of the critters, putting your hand energetically on one or physically on one if you have one in your home. Taking a moment to just set your intention to drop into the power of the human-animal bond. Dropping into how natural animals are, how connected to the earth that they are, how connected to heaven they are. Now just picturing yourself in a field with a herd of horses that are just grazing around you. Kind of watching them and realizing there's nothing you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Maybe with your eyes closed, you're able to have a bigger inner vision, inner sight. Turning on your imagination to picture these horses. And start walking around the field, noticing as you walk around this field, noticing the masculine energy in your body. The energy that feels more direct. Maybe the doing energy, the movement energy. Notice how the horses kind of lift their heads and watch you. Seeing you in healthy masculine energy is something they respect, something they appreciate. They know that you can get things done in the world and take care of activities and tasks. And they see you as a container, a structure, a system that can hold and support. And now maybe find a place and just kind of sit down and connect to the earth. And let all the healthy masculine energy from the earth come up from the earth into your sit bones, into your body. Excuse me. Infiltrating every cell with just healthy masculinity. The providing energy, the protecting energy. Taking a deep breath and breathing this into your heart space. Taking a deep breath, breathing this into your stomach. Taking a deep breath, breathing this into your sit bones. Now pulling down the sunlight energy as you sit in this field, allowing the sunlight to provide healthy masculine through the top of your head, down into your throat, down your back, into your heart, meeting with that earth energy. Taking a deep breath. Sweetness just was sitting on the earth like the rest of us, grounding in. And so with an intention to become a little more like Sweetness, the energy of healthy masculine in donkey form, and also pure sweet loving kindness, compassion. So maybe picturing yourself sitting on the earth with sweetness there. Maybe he's rubbing your shoulders, or he has his head in your lap. When you're ready, start to stand up in that field and just kind of notice the horses. Notice where maybe they're standing around you. Now start to take a walk, but walking in the field, embodying the feminine. More of the being energy, more of the flow. More softness, gentleness. Just walking around, allowing yourself to kind of be delighted by multiple things and drifting into where you feel inspired. And this time, pick a horse and just sit down next to that horse. And dropping your sit bones again into the earth and allowing the healthy feminine energy of the earth to come up into your system. Entering through those tree trunks up into your sit bones, your stomach, your womb, your lower back, up into your heart. Just kind of landing there. Now opening your heart 10% more. Picturing a pink light being sent out 360 degrees around you. Touching into all those horses, the land. Again, picturing the sun above, dropping down healthy feminine energy, pouring the sunlight through the top of your head, throughout your whole face, asking your face to just relax. Asking your throat to relax as it fills with sunlight. Dropping it down your chest and your upper back, your shoulders, your arms. Dropping it down into your heart, meeting the earth energy there. Mixing and combining. And again, activating your heart, sending that sunlight out, the earth energy out, and radius around you. Allowing your own loving energy combined with the elements to touch everything in your space and around. Allowing your back to both soften and stay strong at the same time. Maybe sitting up taller, yet more relaxed. And now picturing this chair that you're sitting on as a throne that holds divinity, holding your queen self, holding your king self. The throne being the container of your human body temple, the way the earth is the container for all beings. And allow more of your own divinity to open up through sitting on this throne and just being you for a minute here in silence. And so as you're pairing that strength and that softness up through your spine, imagine your vertebrae of your spine getting activated on one side in strengthness, and the other side in softness, allowing these energies to integrate up through your spinal cord, all the way up into your head and your brain. Literally picturing each and every vertebrae getting blended energy of strength and softness, masculine and feminine, yin and yang, animal and human. Nice work. Now maybe even picturing a yin yang symbol overlaid over your heart, putting both of your hands on your heart. Maybe one hand, the left hand is underneath, the right hand is above. And let's integrate these energies through your heart, overlaying the yin yang symbol over your heart. This balance, this polarity merging and creating an energetic of wholeness. Now maybe flip your hands and put your other hand over, noticing how that just feels slightly different because it's not your norm, but noticing that it still activates your heart. Noticing how tender your heart is and also how strong it is. We're going to ask in this heart space to energetically dissolve and crumble any heart walls to giving and receiving love. Any and all ways we've created heart walls as protection that are now ready and appropriate to leave and be released, we'd like to do so. And when you release your hands from your heart, just sort of really open them as though you would be opening up in a yogic pose, to just kind of open that expansiveness, and realizing that your heart is so strong and so brilliant, and picturing it extending out behind your body and in front of your body. And now, as another form of integration, let's take the right hand and the left hand and cross them. And having your two palms connect energies between the two. Right hemisphere and left hemisphere of your brain combining in through these palms touching, integrating, creating more wholeness and more expansion through both energies. And now, if your hands cross this way, try crossing it just slightly different with your fingers. Again, noticing how something new may feel a little awkward at first, but that you can adjust very quickly. Again, activating your palm energy, your healing energy through your palms between your two hands. Connecting your right and left hemispheres of your brain through your palms, integrating them. Excuse me. When you're ready, just kind of gently place them, one on either knee or the top of your legs. Start to move your hands up and down on your legs very gently, very intentionally, to kind of activate your feet through your legs, activate your lower half again. Just starting to come up out of that space gently and quietly. As many of you know, I will yawn, potentially even burp if there's some clearing, which there was in that integration exercise. Whew. So when you're ready, you can open up your eyes. You can see maybe the first thing your eyes land on. Maybe there's something in this herd back here that's drawing you. So as we come into the wisdom sharing, feel free, as always, if you'd like to use the chat to drop in how that was for you, if you had any awareness, any shifts, any energetic experiences. All of these meditations are channeled, they're guided. I do not prepare anything. I have no idea what's going to come through. I've never done that hand exercise before in my life. So it really felt like there were some shifts going on just because of how much yawning there was happening in the hands. So that's also something that you can do if you feel like you need to kind of integrate. There's ways to do that. It is making me think that there is a whole brain body posture in Psyche work that I've done, not as a practitioner, but as a receiver, as a student. So there is a piece there that naturally working, usually across the legs as well, in that whole body posture. But that might be something you're interested in looking up more. Psyche is P-S-Y and then K. So, what I find so interesting from the horse herd around masculine energy is just that there's really, horse herd, there are many people in the horse world that keep mares, female horses, and geldings separate, male horses, because they feel that there's a lot of different behaviors when you integrate them, which there are, and mares can go into heat, which essentially means they're ready to conceive. And when the geldings are around, But what I find is a lot of this, right? A lot of just kind of very still, enjoyable geldings and mares grazing together, just really clear co-creation energy. Yay, thanks for sharing that you enjoyed the meditation. Yeah, so with the masculine, what's been coming in to share is, and I will share masculine meaning the energy, and I'll share about men meaning human men. And since it's Father's Day, it just felt like this was the topic, especially since on Mother's Day, I think we shared about the feminine. And so, you know, the masculine energy that I see in horses is very much about providing strength and stability, providing a container for the feminine to let go, for the feminine to flow, for the feminine to share. And there's just this like kind of holding of space that happens. And it's really powerful because what I've experienced with the masculine energy of the horses is the feminine can just activate faster or drop into its power when the masculine is like, I've got this, I've got you. So think of how you could apply this both to your own life, right? Where your own masculine energy is, I've got this, to this like feminine, sparkly kind of creation, flow energy, right? And what is it that needs more stability and structure on the masculine side so that the feminine side can feel like it can just express in its own way, in a safe way? So what I've seen with the males is that when we get into higher states of bliss and divinity, they will drop. They're literally, their penis will drop and they will feel so relaxed. And it's a place where they feel safe. They feel in connection. And it is not dropping because they're ready to mount something. It's dropping because there's just this energetic of like, I don't need to hold stuff in. I can just release and be me. And they will often, one of the things that I use the backbone, I think today was because Winter in particular, who I think's like out that way right now, yes, is he was really helping a client step into his backbone and having the strength to, I think there's a good quote about that in Eat, Pray, Love, but about something around the wishbone versus the backbone, right? And so a lot of us have had wishbones around certain projects or creations in our life, and we don't really take action. We don't really do anything on it. We're just in wishbone energy. I wish it would be this, or I wish that would happen. And the masculine is actually creates the structure to be like, okay, in this month, we're going to take these action steps. And it's not from a must or a have to or a should energy. That's unhealthy, toxic masculine, but it's from this place of like clarity and progress and structure. And so it looks like inspired action. It looks like bold action. And it looks like I'm going to take steps forward because this is something I want to receive or contribute in the world, if it's a dream project and whatnot. And so it actually can help us really to get things done. The unhealthy masculine gets things done at the expense of its being, at the expense of its feminine, which looks like doing constantly instead of taking time to rest. And one of my baby goats, is just like, she's like the feminine, most feminine little creature ever. And in the last few days when I get here, she's sitting on this like cute, like beautiful, like feminine seat, like this really pretty wrought iron seat. And she's really like in this like princess energy. And it's so cute to see it. But she's really resting a lot as a way to say like that's a great way to balance out this like doing. And we're going into a summer month, which is a more fire energy. There's more doing energy. And because of where we've been in the world, a lot of us are pretty exhausted, just emotionally or energetically, right? Because there's so much that we've seen that's traumatic. And even if it wasn't our own trauma, we are in secondary trauma of seeing deaths and injustice and violence. And so unhealthy masculine, which has been really brought to our faces over the last few weeks in particular, is violence. It's so unbalanced, and part of it is because there's been such a repression of the masculine and the shadow, which is anger and sadness and just rage. And there's been no kind of healthy ways for men to process unless they find like a good therapist, so to speak, right? Or have an outlet. And I feel, I was thinking this morning about this topic, and I feel that a lot of men have had sports as an outlet for their being able to express their voice of anger and frustration and control and expression through what they will usually yell at a screen or get into through sports. And we have not had sports, so to speak, in the last few months. We haven't had contact sports because of where we've been with the pandemic, and we haven't been able to watch sports. And so I think they've taken a bit of a toll on them. The way women having to homeschool on top of doing all the other mom activities and wife activities that they have has also taken a toll on women. And so there's a whole opportunity right now for us to bring in compassion and to start to really think about how we say no to toxic masculinity, which is ultimately this power over energy. And the feminine is very much power with, power within. And men are going to have to learn how to become more feminine and stay in balancing that with healthy masculine. It's part of what's happening in the new age, in the new paradigm. In 5D energy, if you've experienced it, feels it doesn't necessarily have a masculine or feminine quality to it. It's just such a high vibrational divinity expression of bliss that actually feels very much like orgasmic energy. And both men and women experience that, right, in union, in relationship, and sex. And so it's above all of that, but it takes I mean, certainly orgasm can happen without masculine and feminine coming together, but that has at least traditionally been one of the ways to experience this kind of higher level. And 5D is that energy coursing through your body, but still being able to ground it and hold it. And my experience of it has been through being with the horses and being able to activate 5D pretty easily. But what's been interesting is the way I've kind of entered 5D has actually been through hanging out with the male horses here and allowing them to really contribute to me so that I could relax and kind of rest, so to speak, and having that brought in. And then I've been able to share it and expand it with some of the female horses through meditation and hanging out with these guys. But it's been really fascinating. And they're, as you can see, they're kind of here on the move. This is a different heaven on earth with them really being in the background instead of being right here in the foreground as they have been in other topics. And, you know, I'm not going to make that right or wrong or good or bad. It's just something that is. They're in a different space today where they're really more focused kind of on their own. And that's another kind of unhealthy energy that we've seen in the masculine is that kind of toxic piece of narcissism and entitlement. And really part of what we have to look at briefly, but not stay in, is how things haven't been working, to see what is toxic, and then to say what part of me has contributed to that, and how do I release that energy from my body. And then also to release our judgments of it, because I was getting that in the meditation, that if we judge things, if we judge the masculine or the unhealthy masculine energies and we make it more wrong, it kind of traps the energy and it doesn't allow it to move and release out of us. So we're going to do a clearing around our judgments of unhealthy masculine. But healthy masculine is something that I'm going to encourage you guys to look for in the coming weeks and celebrate and acknowledge it. Because men in general, and they will admit this as well if they're conscious about it, have slightly more fragile egos. men are built to look physically strong, but as many of you know, if they get sick and whatnot, they don't handle it the same way we do. We actually, as women, have a lot of physical strength, and may feel emotionally, in that more expressive place. What's interesting about men, if the fragile ego really is there, part of the way to support the ego becoming healthier or stronger in men or in the masculine is to actually acknowledge and prize and reward all of the good behavior. So I've been working a lot with women who are having relationship issues recently with their men. And I have a lot of background and training in this through Alison Armstrong's work that I've taken and so many other programs and books that I've done, and there's a lot there. And I think that one of the things we've been talking about is how do we apply positive reinforcement horse training, which looks like rewarding what you want and staying neutral or even ignoring what you don't want. And so that way you cultivate and create more of the positive, right? And so it's very easy for us to get angry or punish that which we don't want, but it actually can create more of it through our resistance to it, versus the positive reinforcement is being really clear about what you want from a horse and asking them for it, inviting them to it, and when they give it to you, giving them a reward, and specifically what they like. And this is why I often ask my clients to really understand the 5 love languages for themselves as well as for their partners. What is it that they really want, right? Is it physical touch? Is it more quality time? Is it words of affirmation? Is there an act of service? Is there a gift? And in the horse world, it's very similar. Not all horses want touch as their reward. Not all of them want an attaboy or attagirl. Some of them want food. It's really can range because it's an individualized, personalized system. And so I encourage you to think about, with your own masculine, how is it supporting you versus how is it starting to create power over you? And then with the men in your life, how can you play with honoring the healthy masculine, supporting it, rewarding it? Because ultimately, that's the only way it's going to start to grow, right? If we rally against it, and we're looking at 2 male presidents right now, and, it's like we rally against it, it can get actually stronger because we're resisting it and we're trying to push it away instead of embracing it. So much of the shadow work is going into the stuff we don't like, being with it, acknowledging it, loving it, releasing it. And then the cultivation work, the creation work, really the heaven on earth work is rewarding the actual behaviors, thoughts, and frequencies that make a difference and help us to grow, that help us to evolve, that help us take us to the next level. So the horses are in this kind of beautiful layout back here. And one of the things I love is that they all honor each other's voices and give each other space and create a herd dynamic where they are all equals, even if they have different ranking, right? And we will have different ranking because that's been our system for a while through whether it's capitalism or hierarchies and systems and leaderships and whatnot. But there's still an honoring of each of those beings as an individual that has its own gifts and its own contribution. And there's a lot we can learn from them in that dynamic that we could apply to our own society. So I'm going to move just because I want to create a little more connection with them. We're not going to get super close, but I just want to take you guys over here and also a little bit further away from some of the noise, which is this big tractor being pulled. And you guys a little bit of them for a second. So I actually do feel like it might be really nice to go in with the goats. So I'm gonna stop recording here in a moment, but I'm just gonna sit for a second and see what else needs to come in to share. A lot has already been shared. A lot that I have no idea what I just shared because it feels very much channeled and in the moment. So let me just take a moment, see if there's anything else. It feels like that's pretty complete. So the journal exercise that I'll give you to complete as I move up to be with the goats is, one is if you've been around horses, which I believe all of you have, what's something you've learned from them about masculine energy? Oh, we do need to do the clearing. What part of masculine energy feels like it's old and needs some transformation in your own life? I know for me, it's going into doing as soon as I wake up instead of starting with being. So that's kind of a simple shift, right? Being able to, I have a lot of being kind of in the middle of my day, but I would actually like to start with more being instead of immediately just honoring that masculine energy of like launching into doing as soon as I wake up. So that's a piece. But what is that masculine energy that needs some transformation? And then one of your ideas from your intuition of how that might be able to transform for you. And then what is the biggest judgment that you've had towards the masculine? And it's usually you've been triggered. I know most people have been triggered by a man over the last couple of months. Whether it is in the political landscape, in this, in the Black Lives Matter landscape of what has happened, and that I'm fascinated by this whole call out to the mother energy that's gotten so activated right now. And the mother can feel very much like a fierce bear that protects its young. And we're at the Mother Ranch, so there's a lot of layers for this. And then, you know, what's that judgment? And then if you were to forgive it, what might that look like, right? How would you release, what's the new belief system? So the belief system that I would love for us all to hold moving into this is that the masculine is in process of getting healthier. It just needed a little bit of deconstruction to be able to emerge anew, right? So very much the masculine energy is very much in that creepy crawler, caterpillar self, beating against the cocoon and being emerging as a butterfly. And we have yet to, I feel, truly seen the true healthy colors of the masculine because of just so much societal programming and being in a patriarchal culture for so long. And now there's all the new Me Too pieces coming out over the last few days, which has been fascinating. And there's going to be more to come. There's going to be more on all levels. And so it's really easy for us, I know myself included, to hate or to be frustrated at men or the masculine and what they've done. And if we stay in that space, we are not in that full integration. So as a reminder, hands crossed, integrate, hands over heart, integrate, loving and allowing, even though our masculine has really been leading us for so long, that now it's like allowing it to take the back seat, see if the feminine wants to rise, drive the front seat, and then, but partnering with the masculine still, right? Having the, maybe as women, the feminine does need to lead because that's who we are, but allowing the masculine to support us, right? I saw a dream years ago of what the purest form of a masculine and feminine energetic looks like in physical reality and 3D reality is the, you may have seen this if you traveled to, or even on just, you know, in the world, but it's the structure, the actual column of a structure. And I saw a lot of this in Rome, the column of the structure, which is the support system, strength, pillar, solid, clear energy. And then this beautiful statue. And I love the ones with the horses, the statues of the horses, of course, but a statue on top, which is designed and carved and has layers and complexities, and everyone can see that, but they couldn't see it without the elevation of the masculine, right? That structure. And so it's like, you know, this hand would not be able to do what it's able to do without the structure of the arm. Okay. So that might help you, but it really clicked for me when I was able to see the structure that way. In particular, the statue is the feminine and the pillar holding her up is the masculine, and they're both needed, but they have different roles, and we're coming into understanding our roles right now. So patience, because think about yourself the first few days at a job, you're like, oh my God, I have so much to learn, right? There's a lot to take in the first few days in a job. That's kind of where we're at. We're like in a whole new work environment, life environment, and we got to be patient with ourselves as we don't know all the new rules of this new company. We don't know how we're going to step into this space, but we will, right? There's a learning curve, and then we'll get used to it, and then we'll be in this new culture, right? And that's exciting. So to be patient and compassionate as we emerge into this new environment. Okay, so quick clearing, and then I will let you guys journal. So any and all judgments that I've held, that anyone on this call has held, that anyone listening has held, or that anyone in the collective has held against men or the masculine, really to create a short. Any and all judgments, misunderstandings we've held around the toxic masculine, the violence, the abuse of power that we've seen for so long and that we're seeing more of now, any and all of our judgments of it or our misunderstandings of it, we like to uncreate. And let's ask the higher heaven on earth beings that know where we're going, that know the ascension process. Let's ask them to do anything and everything in their power right now to fully clean, cleanse, and clear out any toxic masculinity from our lives or others' lives, anywhere on the planet, anywhere that could use a healing and elevation and extension. Let's ask it to be done with grace, ease, and speed now. So it is. And in its place, let's place equality, unity, compassion, patience, love, unconditional love, and acceptance at the highest form available to us at this time in 2020. So it is. Woo! I don't know about you guys, but I definitely felt that energetics of that. So I'm gonna turn off the recording.